Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. I'm Tom, and today we're going to be going over my tentative reading plans for the month of April. And this month is even more tentative than normal. My TBR can always kind of change because I am a mood reader, but I'm going and competing in my third strongman competition here in the middle of April. So I'll be away for a few days, and I never know how traveling is going to affect my reading. Sometimes I get to read a lot, sometimes it just completely kills it. I don't read anything while I'm gone, but I am looking forward to that competition. And I do have like a 3-hour drive both ways, like there and back, or maybe even a little bit longer. I have to double check. So I'm hoping that at least on the drive to it, I'll be able to get some audio listening done. But with that said, let's go ahead and talk about what I'm actually going to be reading and listening to. And the first thing I have up, this is one of my most anticipated releases of this year, and that is The Buffalo Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones. This came out, I believe, last month is when it released. And so this is going to be my second book from this author. The first one I read, I think, is technically a short story and novella. That was The Night of the Mannequins. And I had an interesting experience with that one. I think there's a lot more to that book than I got when I read it the first time. So I think I actually gave it a 2-star, maybe. So not the highest thing I could have done, but I think part of that just had to do with I wasn't ready for like the multi-layer thing that was going on in that story. But The Buffalo Hunter is about a diary written in 1912 by a Lutheran pastor is discovered within a wall. What it unveils is a slow massacre, a chain of events that go back to 217 Blackfeet dead in the snow. So this is a 15.5-hour or so audiobook, and like I said, one of my most anticipated books of the year. I think there has something to do with maybe vampires and stuff in it. The only thing I've heard about this book is kind of a mixed reception from Mike over at Mike's Book Reviews. I haven't seen anybody else talk about it or any other people's thoughts on it. I'm still going in pretty excited about it. We'll see if I end up feeling as bored as it seems like Mike has. But yeah, it's one that first of all, I just love the cover. And so I am very much looking forward to getting to that. After that, it is actually a very, very short story. I guess it's probably considered a novella, and that is The Signal by a few different people. So it is by Eric Butchman, Gabriel Umba, and Sarah Snatchett. This is one, I think it's just available for free on Audible if you're, have a Audible subscription. And this is one that I can't remember if I saw somebody talk about it or if it was one of the Audible ads that, just got popped up in my feed, and I gave it a chance, and it sounds pretty interesting. So this one is about 2 astronomers have detected a strange pulsing signal from deep space. Within hours, the US government goes into lockdown, restricting airspace and scrubbing scientific data. Was the signal an intercepted communication revealing alarming plans for enemies' military strikes? Or has humanity at long last found proof of extraterrestrial life? So I'm a big fan of anything that is related to first contact. Those are really my favorite kind, or those are probably my favorite kind of scientific or sci-fi stories. It's something that I'm always drawn to. That and space operas are always something. And so the fact that this is like kind of a shortened version of that, I'm curious on how it's going to be. And like I said, anything space and aliens is going to at least pique my interest. And the fact that this is one of those short ones that I can kind of use to break up some of the other reads that I have going on is always a bonus. That is something, if you ever want to recommend me something, if it is less than 3 hours long on an audio, the chances that I pick it up are significantly higher than if you recommend me some 30-hour long fantasy epic. Not that I don't enjoy the fantasy epics, but man, sometimes just getting a nice little like 3-hour book, you're all done, you get like a full story in that little bit amount of time, works so well for me. So this book was originally on my TBR for the month of March, and I just vastly overestimated how much reading I was going to get done in March. I'm still hoping that I can finish 2 more books before the month is actually over, but I'm pretty sure that this is going to end up being an April read, and that is Discovery by J.A.J. Mitten, also known as Talking Story here on Booktube. And this is one that I have heard so much praise for. So much, just everybody is raving about it. And so I really hate that I have taken as long as I have. They were nice enough to send me an ARC, and so I'm very much looking forward to getting to it. I think this will be my physical read. I'm in the middle of a physical book right now, and I don't like to read 2 physical ones at the same time. So that's why I still have not started that one yet. But as soon as I finish my current physical book, I will be jumping right into that, and we'll be reading that concurrent with whatever audiobook I am doing at the time. And in case you haven't heard, Discovery is about in 1992, at the dawn of the age of technology, disgraced game show host Manny DiMartini schemes for a comeback with a deep-sea television special in the South Pacific. He quickly finds himself in over his head, attracting the attention of a cosmic being who will lead him into television broadcast event much bigger than the entire planet bargained for. Evidence of slumbering aliens in a ruined city at the bottom of the ocean One Look at the Monster on TV and Humanity Collectively Freaks Out. So this one also kind of has a little bit of a first contact thing going on it. And once again, just from everything I've said, I've heard that like the dialogue between the characters is absolutely excellent. And so I'm very much looking forward to getting to that finally. I have taken way too long to get to it. And I've been super excited to get to it. So I really just need to make time to physically read. That is something I personally need to work on, because I'm really good about making time for audiobooks, because it fits in with, I like to walk a lot. And so audio and walking is like my perfect combination. But sitting and physically reading is just not something that I have worked into my schedule, because I've just been so reliant on audiobooks. Next up, after Discovery, we have another one of my most anticipated books of the year, and that is Faithbreaker by Hannah Kanner. This is book 3 and the final book, or right now, the final book in the Fallen Gods trilogy. And man, these covers are so awesome when I pop it up onto the screen. This and Godkiller, which is the first book in the series, are absolutely some of my favorite covers. I am cautiously optimistic about this one. I feel like the middle book of this one is called Sunbringer, was a very middle book. I felt like it was fluffed up more than it needed to be, and it was longer than it needed to be. And when I see the runtime of this, I think it's a 17-hour or almost 18-hour audiobook. It makes me worry that we're going to get a lot of fluff again, and we're going to see. I was talking to somebody else, Preacher over at Preacher Reads, and he hard DNF'd Sunbringer after really liking Godkiller as well. And I definitely feel that. I think I gave Faithbreaker Sunbringer like a 3-star, like a low 3-star. Just really felt like it missed the mark. But I'm hoping that we can just chop it up, middle book syndrome, and we can move on with Faithbreaker. So here is the small blurb for Faithbreaker, even though it is book 3 of a series. War has come. The fire god Heeson is leading an unstoppable army south, consuming everything in her path. Meridian's only hope of survival is to unify allies and old foes against a common enemy. So obviously, very quick, I try to cut it down as much as I could to not spoil too much if you decide to read this series. But like I said, if this one can stick the landing, this will be a really good fantasy trio or trilogy with just like that one book in the 3 that's a little bit further down. But we'll see. You never know when you get in a stage, like when you don't like that second book, I just never know what to think going into the third and final book of a trilogy. You can just go so many different directions. So I'm hoping we get more things happening, because that was my biggest problem with the second book. It just felt like nothing was really happening. And then my tentative plans, and this is not a book that I plan to finish in April. I just don't think that is possible, but that would be The Lonesome Crown by Brian Lee Durfee. I would like to start this sometime in April, probably towards the end, and let it bleed a little bit into the next month. But this is the third book in the 5 Warrior Angels trilogy, and this is a series that definitely has a chance to be one of my favorite series of all time. It's kind of already like knocking on the door there. I'd have to like really sit down and like look at the list, but I have really enjoyed the first 2 books, and this is a behemoth of a book. I think The Lonesome Crown is like a 43-hour long audiobook, so it's massive, and I'm sure there's so much that still needs to happen. I'm really looking forward to it, to be back in that world, be back with those characters, figure out some of the mysteries that we have, see who wins, who loses, who dies, who lives, all of those kinds of things. I've got to say that The Blackest Heart has one of the best battle scenes I have ever read in my entire life. That battle scene in that book is just one, I think it is extremely creative and done in a way that I don't think I've read anywhere else, the way it happens. I don't know what the inspiration for it was, but man, that was just a super awesome battle scene. So I will hopefully get around to at least starting that one here in April. And then I just want to mention it in case I don't end up finishing it in March, but my plan is to finish it in March, and that is The Fugitive Prince by Jane Orts. If I don't finish this in April, or by April, I'll be a little bit disappointed in myself. I still have a decent chunk to go, but I finished pretty much everything else I want to read in March except for one other thing, and that's an audiobook. So I'm really hoping I can just like buckle down and finally finish this. This has been so good, and so hopefully that is something that'll get done. On the comics front, I had originally planned on reading All-Star Superman in the month of March, and I just wasn't in the mood for a comic, if I'm going to be honest. I want to read this story. I've heard it's one of Superman's best. I'm a big Superman fan, so I just need to be in the mood for it. That's kind of how I decide to read comics. Same with my manga. I'm going to be continue Frennen and Dragon Ball Super, but it's just kind of at the point where I need to be in the mood for them. If I'm not in the mood, it's not something I like pick unless I'm specifically in the mood for it. And normally what happens is I like binge a lot. That's normally what happens. Like when I decide to read this, I'll probably sit down in one sitting and read this entire thing. And normally that's what happens with manga, where Unless I like make myself read just a chapter or something, I'll sit down and read like 10, 15 chapters at a time, just get a good chunk of the story done in one go. But those are my tentative reading plans. Let me know if there is a book you would like for me to read. I'd love to hear your pitch for it down below in the comments. And I would also love to hear what you are going to be reading in the month. Come and talk to me about it over on my Discord, the Book Street Boys. There will be a link to that down in the description. But yeah, I think that is going to be all for me. So as always, read what you want, when you want.